The concept of a Satanic New World Order has been a topic of speculation and debate among conspiracy theorists for decades. According to this ideology, a group of powerful individuals and organizations are secretly working together to create a one-world government that would control every aspect of people's lives. Recently, some proponents of this theory have suggested that climate change is being used as a tool to further the goals of this New World Order. They argue that the climate change narrative is being manipulated and exaggerated to justify the implementation of policies that would restrict individual freedoms and increase government control over people's lives. This includes measures such as carbon taxes, restrictions on travel and consumption, and the promotion of a vegan diet. They claim that these policies are not actually intended to mitigate the effects of climate change, but rather to oppress people and strip them of their rights and freedoms. One of the main ways in which climate change is being used to further the goals of the New World Order, according to this theory, is through the creation of a culture of fear and panic. By exaggerating the threats posed by climate change and predicting catastrophic consequences if immediate action is not taken, the proponents of this theory argue that governments and other organizations are able to manipulate people into accepting restrictive policies and surrendering their freedoms. This can be seen in the way that climate change is often presented as an existential threat that requires immediate and drastic action, with those who question the severity of the threat or the effectiveness of the proposed solutions being labeled as deniers or skeptics. Another way in which climate change is being used to further the goals of the New World Order, according to this theory, is through the promotion of a globalist agenda. The proponents of this theory argue that the climate change narrative is being used to justify the creation of a one-world government, with international organizations such as the United Nations playing a key role in coordinating global responses to the threat. They claim that this would lead to a loss of national sovereignty and erosion of individual rights and freedoms, as decisions would be made by a distant and unaccountable elite rather than by elected representatives. The idea that climate change is being used as a tool of oppression is also linked to the concept of Agenda 21, a United Nations program that was launched in the 1990s with the goal of promoting sustainable development and reducing poverty. Some conspiracy theorists have interpreted Agenda 21 as a blueprint for a new world order, arguing that its goals of reducing consumption and promoting sustainable development are actually code for a radical restructuring of society and the imposition of a totalitarian regime. However, it's worth noting that the majority of the scientific community agrees that climate change is a real and pressing issue, and that urgent action is needed to mitigate its effects. The evidence for climate change is overwhelming, and it is supported by decades of research and data from a wide range of fields, including physics, chemistry, biology, and geology. The idea that climate change is being used as a tool of oppression is not supported by any credible evidence, and it is likely that it is being promoted by interests that have a vested interest in denying the reality of climate change or delaying action to address it. In conclusion, while the idea that climate change is being used as a tool of oppression by a Satanic New World Order may be an intriguing one, it is not supported by any credible evidence. The overwhelming consensus among scientists is that climate change is a real and pressing issue, and that urgent action is needed to mitigate its effects. Rather than being a tool of oppression, climate change is a serious threat that requires a coordinated and global response, and it is imperative that we work together to address it.